I was your typical 31-year-old construction manager, with a decent job, an apartment in the suburbs, and what I thought was a solid relationship with my girlfriend Jessica. We met 18 months ago at my college buddy Marcus's wedding, where she caught my eye from across the reception hall. Things moved quickly between us, and we were just about to sign a lease on a place together. Everything seemed perfect, like I had finally found my person. That was until last Friday night, when a casual gathering with friends turned my entire world upside down in ways I never could have imagined. Where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments below, hit that like button, and subscribe to see how I handled the most shocking betrayal of my life. I first laid eyes on Jessica when she was serving as a bridesmaid at Marcus's wedding to Sophia. She had this infectious laugh that carried across the room, drawing me toward her like a magnet. With her chestnut hair falling in loose curls around her shoulders and warm hazel eyes that crinkled when she smiled, I was immediately captivated. After working up the nerve to introduce myself, we spent the entire reception talking about everything from our shared love of hiking to our career ambitions. I work in pharmaceutical sales, she told me, swirling the champagne in her glass. The hours can be crazy, but I love the challenge. I shared about my job managing construction projects around the city, and we discovered we both valued hard work and independence. By the end of the night, I had her number and a promise for coffee the following weekend. Our first date stretched from a quick coffee into a 4-hour conversation, followed by a spontaneous dinner. 3 months flew by in what felt like minutes. Jessica was everything I thought I wanted. Intelligent, ambitious, and affectionate when it was just the two of us. We both agreed early on that we wanted the same things: a stable relationship, possibly marriage down the road, and maybe a couple of kids once our careers were established. 6 months into our relationship, we took our first vacation together to the Florida Keys. Those 5 days in paradise cemented my feelings for her. Watching the sunset from our beachfront rental, Jessica nestled against my chest, I started to envision a future with her as my wife. It was during this trip that Tyler first came up in conversation. Jessica mentioned him while scrolling through her phone one evening. "My ex just got engaged," she said casually, showing me a photo of a tall, athletic-looking guy with his arm around a blonde woman. Tyler always did move fast in relationships. The comment seemed innocent enough at the time, but looking back, there was a hint of something in her voice. Not quite jealousy, but a strange wistfulness that should have given me pause. Over the following months, Tyler's name would occasionally pop up in conversation. Jessica always spoke about him dismissively, how he was immature, too focused on partying, or how their relationship had been a mistake. I never thought much of it. Everyone has exes, right? But there were other signs I chose to ignore. Sometimes Jessica would receive texts that made her step away to respond, her expression shifting from relaxed to tense in an instant. When I asked about them, she would brush it off as work stuff or family drama. There were evenings when she would cancel our plans last minute, citing unexpected client meetings that somehow always ran late into the night. One particular incident stands out in my memory now. We were having dinner at Bellini's, this upscale Italian place downtown, when a man approached our table. He greeted Jessica by name, his face lighting up with recognition. "Jessica, I thought that was you. How have you been?" It's been, 4 months since Tyler's birthday bash. Jessica's face blanched. She straightened in her chair and responded with a coolness that surprised me. "I think you have me confused with someone else. My name is Jessica, but I do not know any Tyler." The confusion on the man's face was apparent, but he apologized and walked away. When I questioned Jessica, she waved it off. "Just some random guy. People mix me up with others all the time." I believed her. I wanted to believe her. Another red flag was her reluctance to introduce me to certain friends. I had brought her into my social circle almost immediately. Dinners with my brother Kyle, game nights with Marcus and Sophia, even a trip to meet my parents in Ohio. Yet there remained a segment of Jessica's life that seemed off limits to me. She had work friends she would meet regularly, but invitations for me to join never materialized. Despite these warning signals, I fell deeper in love with Jessica. After 15 months together, we decided it was time to move in together. We spent weekends touring apartments, discussing furniture arrangements, and planning our shared future. I even started setting aside money for an engagement ring, thinking I might propose on our 2-year anniversary. To celebrate signing the lease on our new apartment, I planned a surprise weekend trip to a vineyard in the Sonoma Valley. I had arranged for a private tour wine tasting and a romantic dinner overlooking the vines. The reservations were made, the bags were packed. All for the weekend, after what would become the most devastating night of my relationship. Looking back, I cannot believe how blind I was. All the signs were there, flashing warnings I deliberately ignored. Because I was so enamored with the future I had constructed in my mind. A future that was built on a foundation of lies and manipulation I had yet to discover. The evening that changed everything started innocently enough. It was a Friday in late September, and I had invited a small group over to my apartment for drinks and board games. A regular tradition we had started a few months into my relationship with Jessica. The guest list included Marcus and Sophia, my brother Kyle, and Jessica's coworker Tara, who I had met a handful of times before. My apartment was modest but comfortable. A 2-bedroom unit in a converted warehouse with exposed brick walls and large windows overlooking the city. I had spent the afternoon preparing snacks and stocking the fridge with everyone's preferred beverages. Jessica arrived last, coming directly from work, greeting me with a quick kiss before heading to the bathroom to freshen up. The evening progressed pleasantly. We played a few rounds of Ticket to Ride, ordered pizzas from the local joint down the street, and fell into easy conversation. I noticed Jessica drinking more heavily than usual. Normally, she nursed 1 or 2 glasses of wine throughout an entire evening, but tonight she was on her 3rd gin and tonic before the food even arrived. "Everything okay?" I whispered when I caught her alone in the kitchen refilling her drink. "Just a stressful week," she replied with a tight smile. "Big presentation coming up. I deserve to unwind a little." I accepted her explanation without question. After dinner, Marcus pulled me aside, mentioning a potential job opportunity at his company. They were looking for a project manager with construction experience for a new development downtown. "The pay is better than what you are making now, and the benefits are stellar," he said. "Want to step outside for a minute to discuss details?" We headed out to the small balcony attached to my living room. The September air had a slight chill, and the city lights sparkled below us as Marcus filled me in on the position. We must have been outside for 15 to 20 minutes, deeply engaged in conversation about the opportunity. When we stepped back inside, the atmosphere in the apartment had shifted. Jessica, Sophia, and Tara were huddled on the couch, giggling conspiratorially. Jessica's face was flushed, her movements sloppy, as she gestured wildly, telling some story I could not hear. Kyle sat in the armchair across from them, looking uncomfortable, his eyes darting to me with apparent relief when I returned. "There he is." Jessica called out her words slightly slurred. "My wonderful boyfriend, who is about to become a wonderful father." My heart skipped a beat. Father. We had discussed children as a distant future plan, not an immediate reality. I moved toward the couch, confusion, an unexpected joy mingling in my chest. "What are you talking about, Jess?" I asked, a tentative smile forming. Jessica beamed up at me, her eyes glassy from alcohol. "I am pregnant. 11 weeks along. Surprise." The room fell silent. 11 weeks. My mind raced, calculating. We had always been careful with protection, but accidents happen. I was stunned, but found myself warming to the idea within seconds. A baby. Our baby. "That is amazing," I said, reaching for her hand. "Why did you not tell me sooner?" What happened next is seared into my memory with painful clarity. Jessica laughed. Not the warm laugh I had fallen in love with, but something harsher, almost manic. "Oh, Abel," she said, her voice loud enough for everyone to hear. "It is not yours. It is Tyler's." The room temperature seemed to drop 20 degrees. I stood frozen, certain I had misheard. "What did you say?" My voice was barely a whisper. "Tyler and I hooked up during our break," she continued, seemingly oblivious to the bomb she had just dropped. "You know, back in July." We had never taken a break in July. We had spent the 4th of July weekend at her parents' lake house. The second weekend, I had been away at a construction conference in Denver, but we had spoken every night on the phone. What break, I managed to ask. Jessica waved her hand dismissively. That week you were gone. I needed space to think about us. Before I could process this revelation, she continued, her voice taking on a wheedling quality that made my stomach turn. But listen, it does not matter, because Tyler does not want anything to do with the baby, and you will be a much better father anyway. You are stable, responsible. You have already been talking about our future together. I became acutely aware of every person in the room watching this train wreck unfold. Sophia's eyes were wide with shock. Marcus looked like he wanted to disappear. Kyle had half risen from his chair as if preparing to intervene. Tara, Jessica's co-worker, was the only one who did not seem surprised, a detail that would become significant later. Jessica, I said carefully, let's talk about this privately. There is nothing to talk about. She slurred, then suddenly yawned dramatically. I am tired. And pregnant women need their rest. With that, she stretched out on the couch, closed her eyes, and within minutes was snoring softly, completely passed out, and leaving me standing in the ruins of what I had thought was my life. The silence that followed was excruciating. One by one, my friends mumbled awkward goodbyes. Tara left first. Then, Marcus and Sophia. Kyle lingered, asking if I wanted him to stay. No, I said, my voice hollow. I need to process this alone. After everyone left, I sat in the armchair opposite the couch watching Jessica sleep peacefully while my world collapsed around me. Questions swirled through my mind. How long had she been seeing Tyler behind my back? Was there ever a break that I somehow failed to notice? Had our entire relationship been a lie? I did not sleep that night. I alternated between rage devastation and a strange detached numbness. By morning, when the first rays of sunlight filtered through the blinds, I had moved beyond shock to a cold determination to get to the truth, all of it, no matter how painful. Jessica woke around 9 the next morning, groaning and immediately clutching her head. I had been sitting in the same chair for hours waiting for this moment. I silently handed her a glass of water and 2 aspirin, which she accepted gratefully, still unaware of the storm brewing. Did I drink that much last night? She mumbled, squinting against the morning light. Everything is fuzzy. I watched her face carefully as I spoke. Do you remember what you told everyone last night? Her brow furrowed in concentration, then her eyes widened slightly. A flash of recognition quickly suppressed. Not really. Did I say something embarrassing? You told everyone you are pregnant with Tyler's baby? I said, keeping my voice level. You said we were on a break in July, which is news to me. And you mentioned that you expect me to raise this child because, and I quote, Tyler does not want it. And you will be a better father anyway. Jessica's face went through a rapid sequence of expressions. Surprise, guilt, calculation, and finally settling on indignant defensiveness. I was drunk, Abel. I do not even remember saying that. She sat up straighter, pulling the throw blanket around her shoulders like armor. So, it is not true. You are not pregnant. A long pause followed. She looked down at her hands. I am pregnant. And the father. Another pause. Longer this time. It might be Tyler's. Might be. It is Tyler's. She finally admitted, her voice small. I felt the confirmation like a physical blow, even though I had known it was coming. Hearing her say it made it real in a way that her drunken confession had not. How did this happen, Jessica? We never took a break. I was in Denver for a conference, and we talked every night. Her story began to shift and expand. It was just one time, Abel. I ran into him at a bar when I was out with coworkers. I had too much to drink, and we have history. It was a mistake. A mistake, I repeated flatly. And this fictional break we were on. I thought we should see other people. She said, her confidence growing with each lie. I was confused about us, about our future. I needed space to think. And you decided this unilaterally, without telling me. That is not how breaks work, Jessica. That is called cheating. Her eyes flashed with sudden anger. Do not judge me, Abel. You have no idea how hard this has been for me. I laughed. A harsh, humorless sound that surprised even me. Hard for you. You slept with your ex, got pregnant, and decided to trick me into raising his child. And I am just finding this out because you got drunk and blurted it out in front of our friends. Jessica's strategy shifted to tears, which began flowing on cue. I made a mistake, but I chose you, Abel. I want a future with you, not Tyler. He does not even want to be involved. Does he know about the baby? I asked. Her hesitation told me everything. Yes, she finally admitted. I told him a few weeks ago. A few weeks. She had known for weeks, and deliberately kept it from me, all while we were planning to move in together. The level of deception was staggering. Who else knows? I demanded. No one, she said too quickly. Tara did not seem surprised last night, I observed. Jessica shrugged. I might have told her. She is my friend. My phone buzzed with a text. Marcus was checking in, asking if I was okay. I stepped into the bedroom to call him, needing a moment away from Jessica's manipulative tears. Hey, I said, when he answered. Thanks for checking in. There was an uncomfortable pause before Marcus spoke. Abel, there is something you should know. Sophia told me that Jessica confided in her about the pregnancy 3 weeks ago. She knew it was Tyler's from the beginning. She told Sophia she was afraid you would leave if you knew the truth, so she was waiting until you had signed the lease on the new apartment to tell you. The calculated nature of her deception hit me like a freight train. She had been planning to trap me, financially and emotionally, before revealing the truth. I thanked Marcus and ended the call, taking a moment to collect myself before returning to the living room. Jessica had composed herself, her tears mysteriously dried. She was scrolling through her phone as if this were any normal morning. The casual dismissal of the gravity of the situation fueled my anger. You told Sophia weeks ago, I said. It was not a question. Her head snapped up. She promised she would not say anything. Why would you tell her and not me? I am supposedly the man you want to build a life with. Because I knew how you would react. She snapped, her mask slipping. You are so predictable, Abel. So straight-laced and proper. Tyler at least knows how to have fun. If he is so great, why are you not with him? Her expression shifted to something uglier. Because he does not want commitment. He has money but no interest in settling down. You, on the other hand, are stable, reliable. You would be good for a child. The cold calculation in her assessment of me, not as a partner she loved but as a reliable provider for another man's child, made me physically nauseous. So I am your safe backup plan. I said, the pieces finally falling into place. The responsible guy who will pick up the pieces while you maintain whatever is going on with Tyler. It is not like that she protested, but her denial lacked conviction. Have you been seeing him our entire relationship? Her silence was answer enough. Get out, I said quietly. Abel, be reasonable. We can work through this. I will cut Tyler off completely. The baby needs a father, and you would be amazing at it. The baby has a father. He is just a coward who does not want to step up. And you would just abandon an innocent child. Her voice took on a threatening edge. What will everyone think when they hear that Abel Thompson walked out on his pregnant girlfriend? Ex-girlfriend, I corrected. And the child is not mine, as you have made abundantly clear. Her manipulative tactics escalated. I will make sure everyone knows what kind of man you really are. Someone who abandons a woman when she needs him most. While she was in the bathroom, I made a split-second decision to check her phone, which she had left on the coffee table. What I found confirmed my worst suspicions. There were dozens of messages between her and Tyler, dating back to the beginning of our relationship. The most recent exchange was from just 3 days ago, discussing their situation and how to handle me. Tyler. Is he still clueless, Jessica? Completely. We sign the lease next week. Tyler. And you think he will just accept? The baby is mine. Jessica. He loves me. He will do anything for me. Besides, you agreed to stay out of it. Tyler. As long as I do not have to pay child support or play daddy, I am good. The callous way they discussed using me made something snap inside. When Jessica returned, I confronted her with the messages. What followed was the ugliest argument of my life. All pretense of love vanished as she alternated between blaming me, you were always working, you were never exciting enough, and threatening me. Everyone will think you are a monster. Good luck finding someone else who will put up with your boring life. It culminated with her ultimatum. Accept this situation, or I will make sure everyone knows what kind of man you really are. Looking at this woman I thought I had known, I finally saw the truth. I had been nothing but a pawn in her game from the beginning. That night, after Jessica stormed out to stay with a friend, likely Tyler, I realized I experienced a moment of perfect clarity. The fog of confusion and hurt lifted, and I knew exactly what I needed to do. My first call was to Kyle. As a family counselor, he had professional experience with situations like mine, though I doubt many of his clients had experienced this exact scenario. He came over immediately, and I poured out the whole sordid story. Document everything he advised. Every text, every call, every interaction from this point forward. Jessica has shown she is willing to manipulate the truth. You need to protect yourself. I took his advice to heart. I saved screenshots of the incriminating texts between Jessica and Tyler. I wrote down a detailed account of the previous night's events and Jessica's subsequent admissions. I even reached out to Marcus and Sophia, asking if they would be willing to provide statements about what they had witnessed. 2 days later, Jessica reached out asking to meet and discuss our future. I agreed, suggesting a public place, a cafe downtown that I knew would be quiet enough for a private conversation, but public enough to discourage extreme behavior. What Jessica did not know was that North Carolina is a one-party consent state for recordings. I had my phone set to record our entire conversation legally. I needed to know once and for all what her real intentions were, without the performance for friends or the heat of argument. She arrived looking composed and determined. Gone was the tearful, vulnerable woman from our last encounter. This Jessica was on a mission. I have been thinking she began after ordering a decaf coffee. We can still make this work, Abel. People have blended families all the time. This baby may not be biologically yours, but you could still be its father in every way that matters. And what about Tyler? I asked calmly. What role would he play? She waved dismissively. He wants nothing to do with the baby. He has made that clear. But you would still be in contact with him. Minimally, she hedged. Just for practical matters. Like you have been in minimal contact. Throughout our entire relationship, I kept my voice steady, non-accusatory, simply stating facts. Jessica's eyes narrowed. What exactly are you implying? I am not implying anything. I know you have been seeing Tyler regularly since we started dating. I saw the texts. Jessica. Her demeanor changed instantly. The mask of reasonable negotiator slipped, revealing the manipulator beneath. Those texts do not prove anything. And even if I did see him occasionally, so what? You were always so wrapped up in your work, so predictable. Sometimes a woman needs excitement, and now you are excited about becoming a mother. With me raising your ex's child while he remains in the picture. Listen carefully, she said, leaning forward. This is happening. I am having this baby. You and I are moving in together next week. You can either accept this situation, or I will make sure everyone from your family to your boss knows that you abandoned a pregnant woman. How do you think that will affect your precious career? I pressed a button on my phone, Stopping the recording. I had what I needed. Her true intentions captured in her own words. The lease signing is canceled, I said quietly. I called the property manager yesterday. I am not moving in with you, Jessica. Not now. Not ever. Her face contorted with fury. You cannot do this to me. I am not doing anything to you. You made choices. Choices to lie, to cheat, to manipulate. Those choices have consequences. No one will believe you, she hissed. It will be your word against mine. Actually, I said, sliding my phone across the table, it will be your word against your own. The color drained from her face as understanding dawned. You recorded me. That is illegal. Not in North Carolina. One-party consent. I stood up, feeling a strange calm descend over me. I am not going to waste any more of my life on lies. I deserve better than that. And honestly, so does your child. I left her sitting there speechless for once. The weight that lifted from my shoulders as I walked away was indescribable. That evening, Jessica showed up at my apartment, alternating between tears, threats, and attempts at seduction. When none of these tactics worked, she became destructive, knocking over a bookshelf and breaking a framed photo of my parents, before I calmly informed her that I would call the police if she did not leave immediately. This is not over, she warned as she finally headed for the door. Yes, I said with certainty, it is. I changed my locks the next day. The following weeks were challenging. True to her word, Jessica attempted to turn friends against me with her version of events. Fortunately, those closest to me, Kyle, Marcus, and Sophia, knew the truth. For others who heard her stories, I did not engage in mudslinging or public defenses. I simply offered to show them the text messages and play the recording if they wanted the truth. Most chose not to get involved, which was fine by me. I was discovering which relationships in my life were built on solid foundations and which were not, a painful but necessary lesson. I began seeing a therapist to process the betrayal and manipulation. Dr. Winters helped me recognize that Jessica's behavior reflected her issues, not my worth as a partner. He also helped me identify the red flags I had ignored and understand why I had been so willing to overlook them. You valued commitment and loyalty so highly that you projected those qualities onto Jessica, he explained. You saw what you wanted to see. Jessica made several more attempts to contact me over the next month. Showing up at my workplace, sending manipulative emails, even having friends reach out on her behalf. Each time, I maintained firm boundaries, eventually making it clear that all communication needed to go through Kyle, who had offered to act as an intermediary. Her final attempt came in the form of a letter claiming she had made a mistake and that ultrasound pictures had confirmed the baby was actually mine, not Tyler's. The transparent lie, when she had previously confirmed she was 11 weeks pregnant at a time when we had been using protection consistently, was the last straw. I did not even bother to respond. By maintaining my dignity and refusing to engage in her games, I gradually reclaimed my life and my peace of mind. 6 months have passed since that fateful night when Jessica's drunken confession turned my world upside down. The apartment I now live in is smaller than the one Jessica and I had planned to share, but it is mine, filled with peace and authenticity instead of lies. Most of my friendships survived the breakup. Marcus and Sophia have become even closer allies, often inviting me over for dinner or game nights. Kyle checks in regularly, proud of how I have handled the situation. A few mutual acquaintances chose to believe Jessica's version of events, but their absence from my life has proven to be no real loss. Through this experience, I have gained invaluable insight into relationship dynamics. I now understand the importance of trusting actions over words, of paying attention to inconsistencies rather than making excuses for them. Most importantly, I have learned to value myself enough to establish and maintain healthy boundaries. About 3 months after the breakup, I reconnected with Diana, an old friend from college who had moved back to town after completing her master's degree in Seattle. Our friendship has been a healing presence. No pressure, no manipulation, just genuine connection. We meet weekly for coffee or hiking, sharing stories and gradually rebuilding my faith in human connection. While there is no romantic involvement yet, I am open to the possibility when the time feels right. Through mutual friends, I have heard that Jessica's situation with Tyler has grown increasingly complicated. He reluctantly agreed to limited involvement after a paternity test confirmed he was indeed the father, but his commitment remains inconsistent at best. Part of me feels sympathy for the innocent child caught in this situation, but I know maintaining distance is the healthiest choice for everyone involved. The red flags I ignored with Jessica now serve as valuable signposts in all my relationships. When someone shows reluctance to integrate you into all aspects of their life, when their stories contain inconsistencies, when they respond to simple questions with disproportionate defensiveness, these are signals worth heeding. The pain of betrayal has faded, replaced by gratitude for the lessons learned. As difficult as this experience was, it taught me more about my own worth and the kind of relationship I truly deserve than years of smooth sailing ever could have. I sometimes wonder what would have happened if I had signed that lease, if I had given in to Jessica's manipulation and agreed to raise another man's child under false pretenses. The thought of the years of deception and resentment that would have followed makes me shudder. Instead, I chose truth. I chose self-respect. I chose to walk away from toxicity rather than compromising my integrity for the sake of keeping the peace or maintaining appearances. That choice, painful as it was in the moment, has made all the difference. Have you ever had to make the difficult decision to walk away from someone you loved, when you discovered they were not who they claimed to be? Share your story in the comments below. If this resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more stories about navigating life's unexpected challenges. Remember, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is choose yourself. Thank you for listening, and remember, you deserve someone who chooses you honestly, not someone who sees you as merely convenient.